Have you ever walked into a room and completely forgotten why you went in there? Or maybe you set your glasses down, and 10 minutes later you're searching the whole house for them, only to find them sitting right on top of your head. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Memory slips are something we all experience as the years add up, and if you're over 60, I'm willing to bet you've had moments where you wonder, is this just aging, or is something more serious happening to me? I used to think the same way. For years, I accepted forgetfulness as part of getting older. Birthdays slipped my mind, conversations blurred together, and sometimes I'd lose track of what I was saying mid-sentence. It was frustrating, even embarrassing. Then, one day, I had what I like to call my wake-up moment. I was sitting at the kitchen table, staring at the crossword puzzle I used to breeze through. But that morning, the words just wouldn't come. My mind felt cloudy, like I was stuck in slow motion. And I thought to myself, is this it? Is this how the rest of my life is going to be? But here's where the story changes. At 85 years old, yes, 85, I stumbled upon something that gave me my memory back. It wasn't a fancy pill from a commercial or some secret treatment only doctors know about. No. It was simple. It was natural. It was something I started eating every single day. And slowly, almost like magic, the fog lifted. I could remember names, appointments, little details. I felt sharper, more alive, like I had turned back the clock in my mind. Now, I'm not here to sell you a miracle cure or claim that one bite of something will instantly restore your memory. What I am here to share is my journey, what I discovered, and how small, intentional choices, especially when it comes to food, can breathe new life into your brain, even after 70, 80, or 90. Think about it, our brain is like an engine. If we don't give it the right fuel, it sputters and slows down. But when we give it high-quality fuel, suddenly it runs smoother, faster, more efficiently. And that's what I want to talk about with you today, the foods that truly nourish your brain, the habits that keep your memory strong, and how you can start turning back the clock, no matter your age. When I first began this journey, I realized one key thing: our brains thrive on nutrients that fight inflammation and improve blood flow. Inflammation is like rust that builds up inside the brain, clogging the gears and making it harder for memories to form and stay sharp. That's why one of the first changes I made was introducing a small but powerful food that doctors and researchers have been praising for years: blueberries. Yes, those little berries you can toss into oatmeal or yogurt. They're packed with antioxidants that protect the brain from damage and help improve communication between brain cells. At first, I was skeptical. Could something as simple as blueberries really make a difference? But I gave it a try. Every morning, I added a handful to my breakfast. Not long after, I started noticing subtle changes. I could recall phone numbers without looking at my notepad. I remembered what I needed from the grocery store without writing a list. My family noticed too. My daughter once said, "Dad, you seem sharper these days. Did you start doing puzzles again?" I just smiled, knowing it wasn't puzzles that were making the difference, it was what I was putting on my plate. But blueberries weren't the only star of the show. I also learned about walnuts. These little nuts look almost like miniature brains themselves, and it turns out that's not just a coincidence. They're rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which are like premium oil for the brain's engine. Eating just a small handful a day gave me sustained energy, better focus, and yes, clearer memory. One morning, I was talking with a neighbor about gardening, and for the first time in years, I remembered every detail of the conversation when I told my daughter about it later. No blank spaces, no fuzzy moments. It felt like I had been given back a piece of myself. That's when I knew I was onto something powerful. And here's what I want you to take from this: it doesn't matter if you're 65, 75, or even 85 like me when I started. The brain can respond. It can heal. It can grow stronger. We just need to give it the chance. The right foods, the right habits, they act like medicine, but without the side effects. As I continued down this path, I realized something even more exciting. The changes in my diet weren't just improving my memory, they were lifting my mood, too. I felt more positive, less anxious, more engaged with life. You see, when the brain is well fed, it doesn't just store memories better. It helps you feel more like yourself again, alive, vibrant, ready to embrace each day. So, if you've ever felt that fog creeping into your mind, if you've ever worried about losing yourself to forgetfulness, I want you to hold on to hope. You're not powerless. You don't have to accept memory loss as your fate. With simple, everyday choices, you can spark your brain back to life. Now that I've shared with you how small foods like blueberries and walnuts opened the door for me, let's keep walking through and explore other powerful ways we can feed the brain, protect our memory, and keep the light on in our minds for many more years to come. Watching and feel that these insights are meaningful. Please type number 2 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I warmly invite you to do so, and don't forget to turn on the bell, so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos designed to uplift, inform, and inspire. Your support truly means a lot. It's what keeps us going and allows us to continue sharing thoughtful, helpful content just for you. Now, let's continue this journey together. When I first noticed those changes from blueberries and walnuts, I thought maybe it was just coincidence, or perhaps a good week where I was feeling more rested. But as the weeks turned into months, the improvement only grew stronger, and I realized something important. Our memory isn't something we have to watch fade away helplessly. It's something we can nourish and strengthen, just like our muscles. That realization set me on a journey to explore other foods that could give my brain the fuel it was missing. And let me tell you, it was an adventure filled with surprising discoveries. One of the biggest game changers for me was something many of us grew up with but might not think about too much today: green leafy vegetables. Spinach, kale, collard greens, even a simple salad made with fresh lettuce. These foods are loaded with vitamins like K, folate, and beta-carotene, all of which support brain health. Now, I'll admit, I wasn't always the biggest fan of leafy greens. As a kid, I used to push spinach to the side of my plate, hoping no one would notice. But when I learned that studies show people who eat at least one serving of leafy greens a day have the memory of someone 11 years younger, I thought, well, maybe it's time I give spinach another chance. And so I did. I began adding a small bowl of greens to my lunch, sometimes with a squeeze of lemon or a drizzle of olive oil. At first, it was just about the nutrients. But soon, it became something I actually enjoyed. The freshness of the greens, the crunch, the way they made me feel light yet satisfied, it all became part of a daily ritual. And here's where things got interesting. Alongside the blueberries and walnuts, the greens seemed to push my memory even further. One day, I caught myself humming an old tune from the 1950s, and not only did I remember the lyrics, I remembered where I was the first time I heard it, standing in my mother's kitchen as the radio played. That memory had been locked away for decades, and suddenly, there it was, clear as day. It felt like opening a window and letting fresh air into a room that had been closed up too long. But greens weren't the only discovery. Another food that surprised me was fatty fish, like salmon and sardines. I grew up eating fish now and then, but I never thought much about it beyond enjoying the taste. Then I learned that these fish are packed with DHA, a type of omega-3 that makes up a big part of the brain itself. Without enough of it, the brain can't function at its best. Think of it like trying to run a car on an empty tank, it just sputters and stalls. So, I started making it a point to enjoy salmon at least once or twice a week. Sometimes grilled, sometimes baked with a little lemon and herbs. Not only did it taste delicious, but after a while, I noticed I could follow conversations more easily. When I'd be at a family gathering, I wasn't struggling to keep up or forgetting who had said what. Instead, I was present, engaged, and able to laugh along without that nagging worry in the back of my mind that I'd forget the details later. And here's something I think is worth mentioning: making these changes didn't feel like a burden. They weren't complicated diets or strict rules. It was just adding simple, wholesome foods into my routine. Foods that nature has been providing us all along. I didn't need to spend money on expensive supplements or chase the latest health fad. All I needed was a grocery basket filled with colorful, fresh, real food. But food wasn't the only piece of the puzzle. Around this time, I also discovered how much hydration matters. You see, the brain is made up of nearly 75% water. Yet, so many of us don't drink enough of it. I used to go through my day with just a cup of coffee in the morning and maybe a glass of water at dinner. But once I started keeping a water bottle nearby and sipping throughout the day, it was like my brain had been given a long, refreshing drink. I wasn't as sluggish. I didn't hit that afternoon wall of fatigue. Even my ability to recall small details, like where I left the garden shears or what time my favorite TV program started, seemed to sharpen up. I know staying consistent can sometimes feel challenging, especially when you've lived decades with certain habits. But what I found is that once you notice the changes, once you actually feel your memory coming back to life, it motivates you to keep going. It's no longer about forcing yourself to eat a salad or drink water, it's about wanting to keep that spark alive in your brain. And let me share one more thing that became a quiet but powerful part of my journey: dark chocolate. Yes, chocolate. I learned that a small square of good quality dark chocolate, the kind with at least 70% cocoa, is filled with flavonoids that improve blood flow to the brain. I started allowing myself a little piece in the afternoon, and not only did it satisfy my sweet tooth, but it also gave me a gentle boost in focus. It was like treating myself and caring for my brain at the same time. So when you put all of these pieces together, berries, nuts, greens, fish, water, even a bit of chocolate, you start to see how memory isn't something that slips away without hope. It's something we can nurture, rebuild, and strengthen day by day. And perhaps the most beautiful part of this journey for me was realizing that it's never too late. I didn't start these changes in my 50s or even my 60s. I started at 85. And if I could see my memory come back at that age, imagine what could happen for you, no matter where you're starting from. As the weeks turned into months, I found myself reflecting on the journey I had taken. It wasn't just about blueberries, walnuts, or leafy greens. It wasn't even just about salmon or chocolate. It was about something bigger, the idea that at any age, we have the power to influence the way our brains work. I think back to the time when I was 84, sitting in my favorite chair, struggling to recall my neighbor's name. That moment felt so discouraging, as though the door to my memories was slowly closing. And yet, here I am at 85, opening doors that I thought had been shut forever. It has been nothing short of miraculous. But as much as it feels like magic, I know it's really science. It's the science of nutrition, hydration, and small daily habits that add up to incredible change. Now, you might be wondering, does this mean food is the only answer? Of course not. Our brains, just like our bodies, thrive when we give them variety. What we eat is a major part, but so is how we live. For example, I discovered that moving my body each day, even in small ways, made a big difference. A short walk around the block, tending to my garden, or even standing up and stretching between reading sessions, these movements got my blood flowing and my mind alert. In fact, I like to think of the brain as a garden. Food is the soil, exercise is the sunshine, and hydration is the water. Without all three, the garden struggles. But when they're all working together, the flowers bloom. And in this case, the flowers are our memories, our clarity, our ability to stay connected to the people and moments that matter most. Another piece I added to my routine was mental exercise. For me, that meant crosswords, reading history books, or learning something new, even if it was just a new recipe. At first, I didn't think my brain could take on new challenges. But then I realized, the more I pushed it gently, the more it responded. Just as lifting small weights builds muscles, giving your brain little puzzles builds memory and focus. Let me tell you about a small but wonderful moment. My granddaughter came over one afternoon and asked me to help her study for her school quiz. A year before, I might have struggled to follow along. But this time, not only did I remember the answers we reviewed together, I remembered them days later. When she came back and told me she got an A, I was able to recall every question we had studied. The joy on her face when she said, "Grandpa, you remembered." Well, that was worth more than any prize. I know some of you watching might be thinking, that sounds nice, but I'm too set in my ways, or I don't know if I can start something new at my age. Let me reassure you, you can. You don't have to change everything at once. Start with one small step. Add a handful of blueberries to your breakfast. Replace one snack with a small bowl of walnuts. Pour yourself an extra glass of water today. Little by little, those small steps become habits, and habits become a lifestyle. And here's the beautiful part, this lifestyle isn't about deprivation or giving up the foods you love. It's about addition. It's about bringing in more of the foods and habits that make your brain come alive. Once you start feeling the difference, you'll want to keep going. Not because someone told you to, but because your own brain and body will thank you. Looking back, I realized I didn't just regain memory, I regained confidence. I no longer hesitate in conversations, worried I'll forget what I wanted to say. I don't fear those embarrassing moments of blanking out. Instead, I feel engaged, alive, and capable. And that, at 85, is a gift beyond words. So let me leave you with this, don't wait for tomorrow. No matter your age, no matter your starting point, you have the ability to change your brain today. Fill your plate with colors from nature, move your body in ways that bring you joy, drink water like it's a precious gift, and give your mind little challenges to grow stronger. The secret isn't hidden in some expensive pill or complicated program. It's right there in your kitchen, in your garden, in the simple choices you make every single day. And if an 85-year-old like me can turn back the clock on memory, I believe with all my heart that you can too. So why not start today? Choose one food, one habit, one small step, and watch how your memory, your clarity, and your confidence begin to bloom. Because the truth is, it's never too late for your brain to surprise you. And who knows? Maybe one day, you'll be the one sharing your story, telling others how at 70, 75, or even 90, you started eating something every day, and your memory came back like magic too. Thank you for spending time with us today. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned from this video, and how you plan to apply it in your life. Your insights mean a lot to us and give us the motivation to keep spreading positivity and practical advice. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone you care about. Your support truly helps us continue creating meaningful content that informs, inspires, and uplifts. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.